Hello, people of Twitchland. Welcome. How's it going? I'm Abbers. I play video games sometimes. And sometimes I interview people for a podcast called Why We Go Live. And so that's what we're doing here today. I'm very excited to have an amazing guest today. I'm going to go ahead and play you a clip so you can get to know her.
Maybe we need to do something else first, too. We'll try this, though, first. Oh, one more time. Oh, no!
Did you do that on purpose?
Just slide. We're just gonna slide down. That is fun! This is gonna be fun. Oh, shit! Oh my god!
Oh no, I can't get in there. Oh my god. Run to the exit. Where is the exit?
Now.
Oh, Jesus. Pretend you didn't see that. Oh my god.
Aw, please help me in welcoming GeekyGimp. Welcome.
Hello. Thank you.
How are you?
I'm very good.
Good.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm doing well. Yeah. It's been a good weekend so far. Thank you for being here. I'm so excited to talk to you. Let's just get into it. Do you remember the very first time that you streamed?
I don't remember like exactly, but I just remember being terrified.
Why were you terrified?
Because I was never good at like public speaking or like being in front of an audience. So it was just very different for me.
Yeah.
And like a new adventure. I didn't know how people would respond. So it was just really scary.
Yeah.
And I did it.
Yeah, you did. Do you know like what year it was that you started? Like how many years ago?
Probably 6 years ago.
Wow. Okay. So you've been in it for a while.
Yes, on and off. But yeah.
Well, I feel like for a lot of people, like I don't know, if you started before pandemic, I feel like you're kind of one of the OGs. Like you're one of the vets in the Twitch world, you know. What was your first stream? What did you do for your first stream?
The very, very first time I streamed, it's all coming back to me, was Overwatch.
Okay.
And I didn't know people chatted on stream.
Uh-huh.
So I was just streaming the game, and that's it.
Yeah.
No microphone, no video.
Oh, wow.
And then, like, I saw other people streaming, and I was like, oh, I have to talk. So then I started doing that.
Okay.
And that's when it, like, kind of took off.
Gotcha. Okay, that's great. I love that. Like, well, because I started no cam, but with a mic, but like already I kind of had watched some people, so I love, I don't know, there's something very quaint and very beautiful about being like, yeah, I'll just stream the game, whatever.
I have a friend who streams, and that's all she said to me is like, I stream video games. It's like, cool, I can do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I didn't get it.
That's really
until
funny.
I got it.
What was your kind of thought process if you go like a few weeks or months like before you started streaming? What inspired you to start streaming?
I wanted to share with people that like disabled people play games and have hobbies and lives and do all these things. And also I just kind of wanted to connect to people because I live at home. It's hard for me to travel. So like all of my socialization is mostly online. And I wanted to build a community and friends and I did. So that's awesome.
Yeah. Had you built a community in other online spaces before finding Twitch?
Yeah, I had like, AOL chat a long time ago,
Yeah.
like message boards. I had friends, you know, Twitter, a lot of Twitter friends, Facebook, all the socials.
Yeah. What feels different or similar, creating a community or finding a community on Twitch versus those other kind of platforms that you mentioned?
Twitch was just more interactive. Like it was like real time, and you could share a hobby
Yeah.
at the same time
Yeah.
and find people to like game with you.
Yeah, that real-time interaction I think is really special, and also going back to what you said before, like in terms of being scared to stream, like that is scary to have to like interact with someone instantly and not have time to kind of like, I don't know, think about like censor yourself or like think about how you want to answer a question, you know?
Right. Yeah, and it's kind of like sitting in someone's house watching them play a game.
Totally.
It's
Yeah.
like that vibe. So I enjoyed that.
Totally. It does. It feels like going to your friend's house after school, hanging out in their basement, like playing video games. Like that's
Yeah.
often. And I love that about Twitch. There's something very cool about that, and like I don't know, something kind of more intimate about that, I think, than like other platforms, at least from
Yeah.
my experience.
And you can, well, if you have a camera, you can see the people, and it's more, it felt more real,
Yeah,
like in person, but online.
definitely. Yeah. Yeah. What is the story of your screen name?
GeekyGimp. Um, well, me and my friend were trying to think of a name for my blog that was all about like gaming and Star Trek and all my nerdy hobbies. So she kind of said, "Oh, how about the GeekyGimp?" And I was like, people are gonna think it's the other type of gimp
Hmm.
and not the disability one.
Yeah.
But like, I just stuck with it, and it really helped me elevate my work. People were like intrigued when they saw it, so it worked out. But it's been interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's interesting to use it on your blog first and then kind of bring it over to streaming and then to other
Yeah,
platforms too. Like, yeah. Have you gotten any, like, I don't know, odd reactions to your name or any, like, interesting kind of, like, questions with regard to Geeky Gimp as your screen name?
yeah. People sometimes think that it's not like correct to
Mm,
say that,
yeah.
but it's like I am reclaiming that slur and making it into something powerful, and like it just makes me really happy that
Absolutely.
people are using it and understanding why I use it.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense to me. Well, and I imagine that like other disabled streamers and other disabled folks, like when they see that, like there's something that like feels welcoming about that and feels like yeah, we
Yes,
can be here, we can exist and take up space here, you know?
right. I
Yeah.
don't ever have to like explain the reason behind it to other disabled people.
Yeah.
They just get it,
Yeah.
which is really nice.
That is nice. Yeah, definitely. And so for you on Twitch, you're an affiliate, is that right?
Yes.
What was the timeline? Like what was the experience like going from when you started to then getting affiliate?
It took me a while. Um, but then I think, didn't Twitch change the parameters to get affiliate?
Yeah. Well, I know the affiliate program didn't even exist at first. So I'm not sure. I don't know when it started. So it's possible if you've been streaming for 6 years, it's possible you started before the affiliate program even like was a
Yeah.
thing.
I don't remember like the day I got it. I was just like, oh, cool. That's fun.
Hmm.
I didn't really get it until
Yeah.
I researched it and thought the thing that I liked about it the most is the emojis and the sub badges. That's really fun.
Yeah.
I love seeing it in other Twitch streams. People use your emotes, so it's fun.
Yeah, definitely. Did you create your own emotes?
No,
Okay.
I'm not that talented.
Okay.
Um,
Me neither,
I,
honestly.
I hired somebody
Okay.
to do it. Yeah.
I think the emote thing is really fun. I think for a lot of people when you get like affiliate, that's the thing that's like, yes, I can make emotes now. Um,
Yeah. I did try to make my own. It did not work out.
yeah.
It
Yeah.
was a mess. Yeah.
What kind of ideas did you have for making emotes? Were there certain things that you like were inspired by or wanted to make?
Just I wanted to. At first, I wanted to make like disability specific emotes,
Hmm.
but I couldn't think like what exactly that would be. So I changed it to like aspects of my personality.
Yeah.
So there's like a scientist one, there's like a shocked, scared one for when I play my spooky games. Just like different aspects of me.
Yeah.
And, you know,
Definitely. What kind of games and just activities in general do you like to do on your stream?
I like scary games because I find that like that is the only time I will play them is on stream.
Yeah.
But I love Overwatch, obviously, and puzzle games like Nancy Drew, um,
Oh, Nancy
any
Drew.
puzzle games,
Classic.
story games. Yeah,
Nice. Did
I'll
you
play
grow up?
anything.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Now go ahead.
I was just gonna say, did you grow up playing video games?
Yes,
Yeah.
I started on the Atari
Okay.
back in the day,
Nice.
so I've been playing my whole life.
Okay. Yeah. Do you tend to be more of a console gamer or a PC gamer or a little bit of each?
It started mostly PC, because it's more accessible.
Hmm.
Like there's more options. Um, and then I got a Nintendo Switch, and that's mostly how I game now,
Okay.
is on the Switch. Just
Nice.
because the controllers are tiny, so it's easy for me to hold it, and I just love laying in bed playing on my Switch.
Totally. That's the best part of it, I feel like, is being able to just
Yeah,
like have a like lazy Sunday and just like play Animal Crossing or whatever, you know?
right,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. What are some of the things that you think are like the biggest changes between when you very first started streaming versus now?
Um, well, I did stop streaming regularly on my own channel just because of work.
Yeah.
It has been very busy, and I only have time to stream at night,
Okay.
and I'm usually tired after work, so I don't stream as much.
Yeah.
So I've lost a lot of my viewers, but you know, it is what it is. And I've moved on to other things in streaming, so that's exciting.
Yeah, that is exciting. Can you talk a little bit about those things that you've moved on to?
Yeah, sure. So I worked for Easter Seals, which is a leading nonprofit in the U.S. serving disabled people across the U.S. And we just started a gaming initiative called ES Gaming, and we have a Twitch channel called Game for Access, which is a stream team of 7 people, and it's just everyone is disabled on the stream team. So it's just great to see everyone gaming together, and it's really fun, and it takes up a lot of time.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
love it.
I believe it. What a cool job to get into. And also, yeah, I imagine it takes away from personal time to be able to stream. Definitely.
Yes, I stream maybe once a month
Okay.
on my channel, but I do stream every Monday at Game for Access
Oh, okay.
on Twitch.
Nice.
So I do stream regularly, but not like at night anymore
Gotcha.
as much.
Do you miss streaming on your own channel at all?
I miss my friends that I made for streaming.
Yeah.
I still talk and hang out, but I just miss that connection, you
Yeah.
know.
Totally.
But it's like after way do I have the energy to do this and my mental health and just knowing I can't exhaust myself that
Totally.
way.
Yeah. I mean, the mental health piece of it is huge, I think, for everyone. And I think that, like, sometimes with streaming, there's this perception of because it's playing video games that it's not necessarily, like, emotionally taxing or that it's not work. And I think that people don't realize, like, it really does take a lot of mental energy, I think, to stream.
It is mentally exhausting
Yeah.
sometimes. Sometimes it's not, but like I'm very chill in real life. I'm not super outgoing. So for me to be streaming, I have to be on,
Yeah.
you know,
Totally.
and that's really tiring.
Definitely.
I don't, I don't talk a lot. I'm very quiet, so it's like it is me, but it's a different part of me that I have to tap into.
Yeah. Is there, what is that like, I guess, like having that be a different part of you and having that be a part of you that takes more energy, like, because I imagine that there's something that, like, can be really liberating about that and really empowering about that, and also kind of going back to what we just said, something kind of exhausting about that. Like, what is that experience like for you?
It is exhausting, but I like challenging myself
Yeah.
and trying to be more out there. And since I started working at Easter Seals, going to meetings every day, multiple times a day, it's like I have to be on there all the time.
Yeah.
So that kind of helped me in my streaming as well,
Yeah.
and vice versa. My
Totally.
streaming helped me be more chatty and upbeat at work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and going like back to what you talked about at the beginning, like public speaking and maybe being more comfortable with public speaking. I think this is something that I've heard from a lot of the different streamers, that, like, streaming has really helped them to be able to, like, feel more comfortable having a more, like, kind of public self, you know?
Right. Like if you asked me to do this show 6 years ago, I would have said no.
Really?
Now I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
It's different. I did learn a lot about being, more public and open and chatty.
Yeah.
So
Definitely. Well, I'm very glad that you're here. I'm glad I found you now and
yeah,
not 6 years ago in a weird way.
right.
What kind of people tend to find your streams, whether it be Game for Access or on your personal channel?
It's usually other disabled people. Um, yeah, that's really like a lot of it too. And I get views, most of my viewers follow me on Twitter,
Okay.
which is where I have like the most, I guess you would say, audience.
Mm-hmm.
So it's mostly other game industry people, disabled people. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, in terms of disability too, and I think working for Easter Seals and having Game for Access, like, I think there's so much diversity in disability that people don't realize. We have this kind of category of, like, disabled. Um, and so I'm curious, like, talking about, like, having 7 different streamers on your stream team and just, like, having different disabled people come to you, whether it be on Twitter or Twitch, like, what is that experience like meeting different people that are disabled, but also so varied and different?
hmm I think that it was really important when I was making the stream team to be as inclusive as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So we have, blind streamers, um, you know, people who have paralysis, mental health, mental illness, and it's just, I loved how we all understand each other without having to explain about our disabilities.
Yeah.
It's just an instant connection. Even though it's all different, we all have a shared experience
Yeah.
of being disabled. So I think it's great to have that community and learn from each other and just, have that shared experience.
Yeah. Absolutely. What are some kind of takeaways or first impressions that you hope people get from your streams?
Um, that's a good question. Uh, I just want people to know, I love games. That's really it. It's what I want to be friendly, open, and know that people can be themselves
Mm-hmm.
and not worry about, you know, their disability or anything. It's a chill, welcoming space.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I mean, talking about being disabled and just other aspects of your identity, like what are parts of your background or parts of your culture, like things that kind of show up on your stream?
Um, well, I usually stream at night, as I said, and I'm in bed, so I stream from bed, which I think confuses people.
Yeah.
Like, why are you laying down? And it's because I don't have the energy or the stamina to be up at my desk. So I think that's different. I
Yeah.
don't see that a lot on Twitch, and I'm trying to normalize that as
Yeah.
well. Because my
Definitely.
friend Dom is also streams from bed, so I love having that connection
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, that's
It's not
great.
weird. It's just my reality, and I want people to see that it's not weird or unusual. It's just me.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I love that quote. That's such a good, like, it's not weird, it's my reality. Like, I really like that because, like, I think that, like, when we see something that's different from our reality, initially that thought is like, what's going on here? Like, why is this? Rather than accepting that, like, everyone's reality is going to be a little bit different and that's okay, you know?
Hmm.
But I think that's a
I
good
did
point.
notice.
Go ahead.
I noticed that when I did have my camera on and streaming from bed, I had less viewers.
Interesting.
Like a lot less.
Huh.
And I used to use a cat avatar,
Yeah.
and I had a lot of viewers. And then I used my camera, and it went down a lot.
That's so
But I
frustrating.
refused. I refused to not show myself.
Yeah.
That's messed up.
Yeah, it is. It is messed up. Well, and I think that, like, I don't know. There's there's validity in, like, wanting to, like, take a break from the camera and wanting to use a cat avatar, for example, and at the same
Right.
time, no one should feel pressured to do that, especially based on numbers and based on, like, um disabled visibility, really, at the end of the day, is what it comes down to, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that sometimes when people are confronted with disability, like visible disability, it can create this kind of discomfort that, like, is not your problem, that's their problem, you know?
Right.
But that's, man, I imagine that's so frustrating. What is your kind of relationship with the numbers and with the algorithm and all of that?
Um, I don't think I will ever make a living on Twitch.
Yeah.
But I also don't need to,
Yeah,
and I'm okay with that. I
definitely.
just do it for fun
Yeah.
and not worry about it because I used to not. I never worried about it that I used to like focus on it, but now I just don't. It is not worth it. And if I don't feel like streaming one day, I just don't. And it's been a lot better for my mental health to be that way.
That's so important. And I think that's hard. I think that like, you know, there is something very realistically about Twitch and the way that it works where it's like numbers in so many ways dictate your success from at least like Twitch's point of view or from other people's point of view. And so like I think for all of us we have to find like what is my motivation for streaming, and numbers don't necessarily have to be a part of that. And I think a lot of times like they shouldn't be a part of that, but it's hard. It's so much easier said than done, I think. Like what are ways that you like strategies you have or just like ways that you help ground yourself in that?
I don't look at it as much.
Yeah.
I just don't. And I always, every time I stream, I act like 3,000 people are watching. I don't adjust my behavior based on the numbers that I see.
Yeah.
And I'm very much a realist, almost to an annoying point, but I always tell people who want to get into streaming that you will not have 1,000 viewers. Like that is rare in streaming. And you might one day, but don't go into it expecting that. So it's not going to happen.
Yeah. It's true. It's true. Like that percentage of people is like less than 1%. And we're talking like decimal places away from 1%. And really the overwhelming majority, statistically speaking, of people on Twitch are streaming to no one. Like realistically. So, you know, if you've got anyone in your chat other than Nightbot, you're probably doing something really, really well. And even then, if you don't have anyone in your stream, that's not a reflection of what you're putting out there and your worth and your value, you know?
Right. And Twitch is so oversaturated.
Yes.
That it's hard to get discovered. And it's just very difficult to build an audience.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and speaking of that, so you have your Twitter audience is probably your biggest audience, you said.
Yes.
And then you blog and you do vlogs on your YouTube channel, right?
Yes.
What is, I guess comparing like YouTube to Twitch, obviously Twitch is in real time, so that interaction is different, but what has your experience been like on YouTube versus on Twitch?
There is some similarities in that I don't get a lot of viewers on YouTube either because, sorry, my family is here.
You're totally good, yeah.
I don't get a lot of viewers, and I have a reason for that. Because YouTube turns off my comments.
Automatically?
Automatically. I have to go in, turn them back on, and sometimes they'll turn off on their own again.
Really?
And if you're not a YouTube partner, you don't have a customer service.
Wow.
So I've tried to reach out to Twitter a million times, and not Twitter, YouTube, on Twitter. And all they ever said to me was, there's a child in your video. I'm like, I am almost 40 years old.
Yeah.
I am not a child. And they're like, oh, sorry. And then it worked for like a week. And then it went back to it. And it's hard to grow on YouTube when your comments are turned off.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. But I still do it. I love doing videos.
Yeah.
I love the creative process of filming, editing, and all that.
Yeah. Well, that is different. I mean, people will edit their content from Twitch, obviously, but it is a different creative process than being like, okay, I am going to film this aspect of my life and then edit it together. How did you start editing? Where did that kind of start for you?
I basically taught myself
Okay.
on YouTube videos, how to edit YouTube videos.
Mm-hmm.
So I use Adobe Premiere
Okay.
to do my editing, and I just love editing. I'm a writer as well, and I love to edit writing too. So it's just that creative process I really enjoy.
What is it about editing that you enjoy? What aspect of it?
I'm trying to think, like, just shaping something to make
Mm-hmm.
it different.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what about that speaks to me, but it does. And I love editing more than filming, and I love editing more than writing,
Wow.
which is weird.
That's cool. I mean, I think that for a lot of people, editing is like the hard part. So to find someone that like that's where you find the most joy, like that's really neat. That's really interesting to me. I
For
think
me, it's the opposite.
really,
I think editing is easier
why is
than
that?
writing and filming. Because it's like writing and filming is like a creative process that
Hmm.
just takes a lot of mental energy. Where editing is like, okay, I did it, now I just have to shape it.
Right. I
So
think
it's a lot less energy, for me at least.
no, that makes sense. I think that like for me, I like editing. Editing is painstaking in some ways for me because like I get attached to my own brilliance. I had a professor in college that used that phrase, and I was like, "Oh, that's really good," and it's like stuck with me. And so it's hard. It's hard for me to like shave things away to make it like the best thing it can be. And I think sometimes too, like editing takes time. In a lot of ways, like to me, the filming part of it or even the writing part of it, if we talk about writing, like, yes, they take time and they take effort, but the editing process for me has always taken a lot longer. And so there's something about that
Yeah,
like is harder because I kind of just want the thing to be done, but it's not going to be done well if you don't edit it well. You know what I mean?
right, yeah. Like for me, specifically writing, um, like going into it, I kind of dread it because I know it's like a lot of mental work. So once I'm done, it's a relief
Yeah.
and I can just edit. And also, it's the anticipation of knowing something I made will be out to the public
Hmm.
soon.
Hmm.
And that's the same on the videos, on Twitch, like even getting started on Twitch, like oh my god, I have to stream in an hour. But once I get on, it's a lot easier.
Mm.
And then once I finish, I feel very proud of myself.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Well, and there's something too, like when you are able to put out a video or like a blog or whatever, like essay that you're writing, like there's something about that moment too of being able to put it out there that does feel, it feels so gratifying. It feels so like
Yeah.
everything was worth it that went into it, you know?
Yeah, I do. I like the finished product
Yeah.
more, like more than the act of making it. But once it's done, I'm glad that I did it. And
Yeah,
I took the time and energy to do it. And that's what
definitely.
keeps me going back, doing it again.
For sure. Who are some of your
Yeah.
inspirations with whether it be for writing or editing or streaming? Like what kinds of streams or art inspire you?
I like chill streams. I like really inclusive streams. So, like, Raven is my favorite streamer.
Yeah.
And you, and like my friend Dom, because they make these great spaces that are not toxic. Because on Twitch and in gaming in general, it can be very toxic
Absolutely.
and like just bad. So I like feeling safe in a
Hmm.
space.
Hmm.
And that's what I try to make on my streams.
Yeah. What do you do about toxicity and kind of like hate when it does come your way on stream or on YouTube? Like how do you handle that?
Mm-hmm. Well, on stream, I get it not like a ton,
Yeah.
but it has popped up, and I just ignore it. Honestly, I am not easily made upset.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not easily disturbed. So I'll just ignore it, ban them, and move on. Like, it doesn't affect me.
Yeah.
Like, I think they want it to.
Yeah. Yeah, I think recognizing sometimes, and it can be hard in the moment, at least for me,
Yeah.
that like that's what they want is a reaction. And granted, like I think we're allowed to feel our feelings and react, but at the same time, like if you're able to just ignore it and ban and move on, like not only is that better for you, it's probably better for your space, and like it
Yeah.
I think discourages people from trying to do that sort of thing, you know?
Right. I don't ever engage
Yeah.
the trolls.
Yeah.
It just feeds them.
It just feeds them.
So,
It's so true. It's so true. Well, and I'm curious. Okay, so you having your largest audience on Twitter, I have questions.
okay.
Because so much of Twitter, not all of it, but so much of Twitter, especially these days, I feel like is just people kind of screaming into the void, and there's no productive conversation happening. And it frustrates me because I think that like a place like Twitter could be, and probably is in certain spaces, totally the opposite, where there's like meaningful conversation happening. What has your experience on Twitter been like?
It's, I've learned to not respond
Mm-hmm.
to things that I know will blow up.
Yeah.
And I've curated a really great network of people who I follow, and I just look at their tweets. I don't ever like branch out.
Yeah.
And I feel like that has both helped and hindered me, because if you don't branch out, then it's hard to grow. But it's also better for me, like mental health,
Sure.
to just be in my bubble on Twitter.
Yeah. That's important. I think that like going back to the idea of like safe spaces and curating a safe space, like not only to create a or curate a safe space for you, but for the other people around you. Like I think all of those things are really important. And I think that like with social media, whether it's Twitter or Instagram or whatever, like there is something powerful about knowing that you get to control the space that you're in. And
Yeah.
so like I feel for the people that like really feel the need to like engage in things that like are hateful and terrible, and like try to like be heard in those spaces, but also I feel like it's such a futile effort. So it's tricky. It's tricky to me, the line to walk of like wanting to like educate people in some circumstances, and but also recognizing when that's not possible in certain spaces, I guess. Does that make
Right.
sense?
Yeah, no, totally.
Is that something that you've found?
Yeah, but like I do post on like Twitter like spicy things and hot takes and all that.
Yeah.
But I don't like tag people. Like I don't like direct my frustrations at other people.
Sure.
I do it into like the Twitter void.
Yeah.
Whoever reads it, and then they share it, whatever. But that has really helped
Totally.
to create a safer space.
No,
Is not to be personal
that
to
makes
other
so much
people.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think that, like, yeah, what I'm referring to is when people, like, quote retweet something, like, awful, and then they have their hot
Right.
take with it. And it's like that, like, it only escalates things. I don't think it actually, like, helps change people's minds or educates people.
Yeah.
So, like, I think that's really smart to be like, I'm going to put out there what I believe and what I want to say, but it's not directed at a specific person. This is just me sharing who I am and what I think, you know?
Right. And the only time I will quote tweet is if I agree like something.
Yeah.
But like I have in the past been, personal and more direct, and it was just really frustrating.
Yeah.
And not worth it.
Totally.
And I got like, oh my god, the one time I did it was to. This is gonna be a little spicy. I Will Wheaton from Star Trek.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. He posted something really sexist, and I made the mistake of replying to it. And then he quote tweeted me.
Yikes.
And it blew up. And I got so much hate.
Wow.
And his son sent me a nasty email to the point where Will Wheaton emailed me to apologize.
Wow.
And I was like, can you just like take it down?
Yeah.
He's like, oh, okay. Like that wasn't even on his radar.
Which I just don't, people, man, like I don't understand. I do, I guess, but like it's wild to me that you wouldn't like do that first. You know what I mean? Like for that to not even occur to you is wild. I don't understand.
Yeah. So after that was when I was really reevaluating how I was engaging on Twitter.
Yeah.
Because I was getting like death threats.
Jeez.
Yeah, that. And what I said wasn't even like that spicy.
Yeah.
But it was like, it pissed off his fan base, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I got, it's just so funny to me that like, I don't know, you can be a fan of someone while still holding them accountable for their actions. Like we're all human.
Right.
We're not going to get everything right all of the time, but like to me, like right away, that's like there's so many red flags there of like like I don't know. I want to be the kind of person, and I want to surround myself with the kind of people that like want to learn and grow and not be afraid of making mistakes, because that means that you have an opportunity to learn. And that's not to say that stuff isn't painful, like getting called out like doesn't feel good, right? But at the same time, like that story pisses me off, man, because like what the fuck, like I just like I can't especially if you're not even saying anything. Like I don't know what you said, but if it's like, hey, what you said is sexist, and then everyone's like, you should die, like yeah, how do you get from like point A to Z? Like that shit blows my mind. And that kind of stuff happens all the time. Yeah, go ahead.
And he has way more followers than me.
Yeah.
So he had to know that when he did that, hate would come my way.
Yeah.
What did he think was going to happen if he did that?
Right.
It was like he put a target on me on purpose.
100%. Yeah.
So,
ugh.
After that, I kind of like give him shady eyes.
Yeah.
Like, I just viewed him very differently after that.
Absolutely. How could you not? Like,
right.
Well, and that sucks too, because you mentioned that you're a big Star Trek fan, right?
Yes.
So that, and for a platform, now I'm just going to go off, but like, and for a show like Star Trek, I'm not a big Star Trek nerd, but like, I know enough about it that like, that show in a lot of different ways was very progressive in terms of like inclusivity and feminist kind of rights, right? So like to there's just a lot there that makes me very angry and not a Will Wheaton fan.
Yeah. Thankfully, he was never like a favorite character.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and he's a pretty small character anyway, right? Like.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, fuck him. That's all I have to say. Fuck him. Fuck Will Wheaton. Oh God. With Twitter being your biggest audience, why do you think that is your biggest audience? What about that platform?
It's the most accessible.
Okay. And
it's where most disabled people have the biggest communities there. Gotcha. Just because it's like it's text based, so there's no like you don't have to take pictures and like Instagram, you have to use your phone. With Twitter, you can use like your computer to post stuff.
Gotcha.
It's just way easier. And it's like if you're blind, it's easier to use. So it's just more accessible.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Have you been using Twitter as long as you've been using Twitch or like longer?
Longer.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Doesn't Twitter tell you what year you start?
Probably.
I'm trying to see.
I don't
Yes.
know.
I joined October 2008.
Oh, you've been there for a long time.
Yeah.
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 So that makes sense too in terms of like having the longevity of it. But yeah, accessibility I
Mm-hmm.
think is like something that like I mean this goes with like any kind of privilege. It's something that like if you have privilege, like you don't think about the kind of ways in which that's like way more accessible for people than
Mm-hmm.
other platforms, for sure.
Right.
With the new changes with Twitter in terms of like Elon Musk taking over and the way in which leadership has just changed in general. Yeah, I know. But what are your thoughts on like the future of a platform like Twitter?
I hope that he sells it
Yeah.
or does something because he's really running it into the ground.
Yes. Yes, he
And
is.
that's very scary because it's not just where I have a community, but it's how I even get jobs. Like
Yeah.
freelance, I do freelance accessibility consultations and like other video game work that I find a lot on Twitter. So I
Hmm.
feel like if we got rid of Twitter, a lot of people would lose job opportunities.
Yeah. Yeah. In terms of being a networking hub, that's another thing that I really
Right.
hadn't thought about. Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
big networking hub for me, especially.
Yeah. Well, yeah, if you're talking about like in terms of it being accessible too, like for anyone that's disabled and needs something that like that is text based and easier to navigate, like yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So you do freelance, you work for Easter Seals, you stream, you blog, you have YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have time for like passions and hobbies outside of these different projects?
I incorporate my passions into my work,
Okay.
which is reading. Reading is my main passion, which would surprise people because everyone assumes I'm a gamer,
Mm-hmm.
and that's my favorite. But I love books and reading. I always have. Um, and even in my spare time, I just read
Yeah.
mostly. And it like drowns me. It makes me feel like safe and comforted. So that's what I do is I read.
Okay, yeah. What kind of
Mhm.
books do you, or not even books, but like what kind of literature do you tend to gravitate towards?
I like fantasy, mystery, thrillers. I'll read anything, but those are my favorite.
Okay, yeah,
Hmm.
definitely. Can you
And
talk?
romance.
Can you repeat?
Romance.
Romance, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
nice.
Hmm.
We've kind of talked already a little bit about like your private self versus your kind of public persona, public self.
Hmm.
Where's the line for you, like in terms of like being boundaried between your public self and your private self?
Um, I just don't share what I'm not comfortable to share.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty open. Um, I try and protect, my safety. I don't overshare. I don't share anybody else without their consent um, on my YouTube videos. And I just kind of take it one day at a time
Mm-hmm.
and understand my limits and how I'm feeling. It all depends on the day, how
Yeah.
honest and open that I am.
That's fair. I that makes total sense. Well, it seems like you have such an awareness of like where you're at any given day, like with regard to
Mm-hmm.
energy and like I don't know, the ability to like take on certain things. And I think that that's like so important and so necessary to be really like, I think it requires a lot of honesty about like meeting yourself where you're
Yes.
at on any given day, you know?
Yes, definitely. Like, I don't ever push myself because when I do, I just crash
Yeah.
after, and then I'm like out for days.
Yeah.
So you really have to protect yourself when you're doing streaming and all those public things.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are there other ways that you have found to protect yourself?
I just take breaks. Like, I don't, like I said, I don't push myself.
Yeah.
And it's because I'm online like all the time. It's sometimes hard to not get involved in work things after work or on the weekends.
Yeah.
But I just like I can't engage because as soon as I do, I get sucked in, I get burned out. So
Yep.
it's all about protecting your time and your mental health.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's so important. And yeah, easier said than done, but also I think you're right. It's like when you recognize that like when that crash happens, that prevents you from being able to do what you want to do for however many days after. It's like it's just not worth it, you know?
Right.
Yeah. Twitch chat in just a minute here. I'm going to go to you all. If you have any questions for Geeky Gimp, type them in chat and let us know, and we'll get to those in just a minute, okay? So, Geeky Gimp, what are some things that maybe have surprised you since you started streaming?
I surprised myself because I went into it not knowing how it would turn out. And I'm very proud that I made a lot of connections. I became more outgoing. So I was just really surprised how much it changed me. Because
Yeah,
it did, for the better, I think.
that's
It
really
also made
cool.
me more tough. And like, I was always tough. But like, putting yourself out there is scary. And I
Yeah.
did it. And it's like, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Putting yourself out there the very first time when you very first decided to stream and deciding to continue to put yourself out there too. I think that is, yeah, that takes a lot of toughness for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's cool. Do you have any advice for your younger streamer self?
Turn your camera on. Turn your microphone on. Don't, don't
I'm
play
taking
games.
notes.
Um, don't focus on the numbers. Um, make friends and stream with your friends because that's really fun. And
Yeah,
I think like streaming with a friend takes off some of that weight on myself,
definitely.
like that pressure to be on because somebody else can be on with me and it's a lot easier. Because like
Totally.
if I have to take a break to breathe, literally, then they can take over, you know?
Yeah,
It's just that splitting that time and energy is very helpful. And I should have
absolutely.
done it more from the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have like in real life friends or family that are involved in your streaming or know about your streaming, or is it mainly like people that you've met online?
My family knows. My brother is a big gamer too,
Okay.
so he'll tune in sometimes. Um, and like everyone who knows me knows that I stream. So like it's weird sometimes. Like my cousins will pop in. It's like, hey,
Yeah.
but it's fun. And yeah, I don't ever like stream anything that would upset my family.
Yeah.
So it's all good.
Even horror games, even scary games.
Yeah, yeah, they love it too. So
Nice. That's great. T. Miller wants to know, what is one of your favorite moments of streaming?
I love doing charity streams. we've done it for St. Jude, Able Gamers, Game for Access now. And just like seeing people being so giving just because they're watching me play a game for a cause. And it feels really good that people donate, and I feel like, making a difference is really powerful and really exciting. And those are definitely my favorite moments.
Totally. That's great. Sable Sable says, long-time listener, first-time caller. How did you become tougher without losing your kindness?
I think those are very different things. So I feel like you can be tough and be kind. Because being tough can also be just ignoring it and banning. That's tough. But it's also kind because you're being kind to yourself and everybody else in the chat too.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, you don't have to be like a bitch about it, but you can be. But I'm just saying it doesn't, like, it's just very different to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think they're mutually exclusive traits necessarily.
Right.
Because I think it's possible to be tough and kind. It's possible to be tough and not kind.
Right.
So it's interesting. But I do think that we kind of, when we think about, I don't know, these maybe personality traits or like the ways in which we engage with people, I think we often have such like binary thinking in terms of like you're either this or you're that. And I think you
Right.
can be both,
Right.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to put up with trolls and bad people. It doesn't make you unkind.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
That's a really good point. Yeah.
Mhm.
Do you have any like pre-stream or post-stream rituals, things you do to get ready for stream or things you do to like wind down after?
I I don't really do anything beforehand, but since I used to stream so late at night, I would literally fall asleep as soon as I finished streaming.
Yeah.
A few times, I fell asleep on stream,
No way.
and that was very embarrassing. It was like one time I streamed for like 2 hours, and the last half hour was just me sleeping.
Oh my God. That's amazing. At least it
Yeah,
was only like a half hour. It wasn't like 8 hours,
true. I deleted that video. So
Understandable. I probably would too, honestly.
I was like, oh my god. And then ever since that happened, I like make sure that I only stream when I'm not exhausted.
Yeah.
So that's why it happened. Because I
Yeah.
was too tired. I pushed myself to stream, and then that happened. And
Yeah.
I was like, okay, now I know I have to have energy. Sometimes I used to drink coffee, which is bad because it was like midnight and I was drinking caffeine.
Mm-hmm.
Not good. And streaming that late at night did mess with my sleep schedule.
Yeah.
I used to fall asleep at like, I would stream maybe 12 to 2
That's
a.m.
late.
and then go to sleep at 4 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
and I'd have to wake up for work at 8.
Yikes. That's so rough.
So ever since I've stopped streaming that late, I fall asleep at like 12 or 1 at the latest.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the ritual was get set up, try not to fall asleep. And yeah, so
Was there a reason why you started streaming later in the day?
it was hard for me to stream during the day after work.
Mm.
Like talking is physically difficult for me sometimes. But at night in bed, I'm on my ventilator, which like breathes for me, so it's a
Okay.
lot easier. I've gotten better at streaming during the day, but it does take a lot out of me
Yeah.
physically. So that's
No,
why I
that makes
started
sense.
streaming at night.
Yeah. Well, and I really like, I'm so grateful for people like you who do normalize this, because I think that like, I think there are a lot of people that probably need to know that it's okay that this is like physically demanding too. Like you're
Mm-hmm.
not alone in that, and to recognize that there are things in your life that make it easier and more attainable to do. Like I think it just goes
Yeah.
back to kind of the theme of the day. It feels like is like knowing your limits and really like honoring who you are and what you need at any given moment.
Right.
I think streaming like gets this kind of bad rap for a very real reason of people like doing very extreme like kind of things that aren't good for your
No.
body or your mental health, and it's just it's not sustainable, and it's also not fair to yourself, you know.
No. But one time I tried to do like a 6 hour stream a and I was dead after.
Yeah.
Like I just never again did I do that. But
Yeah.
like I see people doing 24-hour streams, which is fine if they can do it. But I just feel like that can't be healthy.
Yeah. 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 And I think it's like, yeah, it's knowing what your body is capable of, and not necessarily seeing what other people call a marathon stream. It's like you don't have to do that as a marathon stream. You can do what
Right.
is a marathon for you, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
for you, what is the typical length of a stream that like feels comfortable and good?
It's like 2 hours
Yeah.
is basically my limit.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I just like I used to stream 3 or 4 hours at night sometimes, and it was too much.
Yeah.
So I have to limit myself.
Understandable. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard too, because I think that there is some like trial and error with it, where it's like you wouldn't have known that the 6 hour like marathon was hard on you until you did it, right?
Right.
But yeah, it's all about like what do you do after that? Like knowing that that was hard on you, and like how does that affect your decision making going forward, I think is the most important thing.
Right. Yeah. You have to know your limits
Yeah.
and listen to yourself.
Yeah.
I know like it's because you see other people doing these really large events and you feel inspired maybe, or you feel like, oh, I can do that, but it's not easy.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and it's not easy to not feel the pressure from that, right? Because I think
Mm-hmm.
that's very natural. That's very normal to see other people are doing this. Maybe I should do this, and I think that it does take toughness and kindness to yourself too to be able to
Right.
not succumb to that. Yeah.
I used
Yeah.
to do like a 6 hour. I did that 6 hour charity stream, but ever since then, if I do a charity stream, I'll do it over multiple days
Smart.
instead. It's
Yeah.
a lot easier to handle.
Yeah.
Like 2 hours, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and
Perfect.
that's it.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, and having friends too, like you mentioned, really loving like playing with your friends. Like I think that like when
Mm-hmm.
I've done like longer kind of marathon things, it's always helpful to have friends to kind of like call in as backup, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, just like having a plan, I think too is huge.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Twitch chat, thank you for your questions. It was lovely hearing from you, Twitch chat. Appreciate you.
Hello, Twitch chat.
GeekyGimp, do you have any goals or projects coming up with streaming or just like content creation in general?
I am coming out with a video on my YouTube channel,
Hey,
hopefully
nice.
this week.
That's
I
great.
went to Washington, D.C. the last few days for work, and I did like a lot of video content, so that's coming out soon. And
Nice.
then Game for Access, we're having a big streamathon event in July. So that's Game for Access, and the 4 is the number 4 on Twitch. And yeah, just keep streaming and all that jazz.
That's awesome. Congratulations on everything. That's super exciting,
Thank
like
you.
the work that you're doing. Yeah. Yeah, and if you guys aren't following Game for Access, do it. Go follow Erin on all the things, first of all. But also follow Game for Access so you're not missing out on just awesome streamers and streamathon. You said in July that's happening. Great. Yeah, go follow. Go do the things. Let's see. Well, at this point in time, I think we'll go ahead and wrap some things up. As is tradition around here, we'll end the stream with 10 final questions. So just a quick and dirty kind of questionnaire inspired by James Lipton, Bernard Pivot, and CJ the X. So just kind of first thing that comes to mind, what your first thoughts are. You ready?
Sure.
All right. GeekyGimp, which game or activity do you love to stream the most?
Overwatch.
Which game or activity do you hate to stream the most?
Boring games.
Boring games?
Yes.
What's a boring game?
I don't know. Overwatch. I don't know.
What
I
turns...
can't think of one.
That's okay. No pressure. No pressure. Even though I'm like, all the pressure. What turns you on creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
Books.
Can you repeat?
Books.
Books. What turns you off creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
Hate.
Which streamer would you like to meet most in real life?
Raven.
Yeah. What's something you would like to try on stream but never have?
Taste testing.
Oh. What's something you would never want to do on stream?
Fall asleep.
Why do you go live?
To show people that disability is not something to be ashamed of.
Follow-up question. Why do you really go live?
Because it's fun.
Yeah. All right, last question. You're on your deathbed, but you know exactly how much time you have. You have any and all resources available to you. Viewer count doesn't matter. The commercial viability doesn't matter. None of that matters. What do you do for your final stream on Earth?
I will play Overwatch and then just play Overwatch.
Just play Overwatch?
With all of my friends.
Easy.
Raven, Dom, everybody. And just have as a big Overwatch party.
Cute. Love that. That's so fun. GeekyGimp, thank you so much for taking the time and for your thoughtful answers and just for letting us get to know you more. If you're not following GeekyGimp, go do it. There is a link tree and then her Twitch channel and then again, Game for Access. If you're not following Game for Access, make sure you do that. And then with that, I would love for us to kind of pass the love on to somebody that you know. Is there someone that you would want to raid right now?
Yeah, sure. Let's go with Ready Player Gabe.
Okay, yeah.
Cool. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh my God, my pleasure. Let's see, Ready Player Gabe. Perfect. And so people in the chat, if you want, we'll go ahead and let Gabe know that GeekyGimp sent us. So here is a raid message that you can throw in the chat. If I can type fast enough. I'm going to try my best. Perfect. Awesome. So there you go. Raid message, copy paste, all that jazz. Thank you all for being here. Erin, thank you again.
Thank you.
We do Why We Go Live basically every other Sunday-ish. Although my schedule's a little bit weird because of Mother's Day and my little brother's birthday. So we're actually doing another episode next Sunday. So we'll see you all then. Thanks for being here. And we're raiding and we're doing stuff.